Welcome to Nuances, Beyond First Impressions with the Asian Diaspora.
I'm Ariadna Milla, a Filipino-American from a small town on the southern border in Texas.
I'm Sherilyn Lee, a new American with Chinese Mauritian roots.
Together, we wanted to create a safe space where everyone feels welcome to learn more about the AAPI community.
We hope that through the personal stories we'll hear, we'll all get a glimpse of the humanity behind the stereotypes, how we have so much in common in some ways and so little in other ways.
If you enjoy our show, please consider leaving us a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Audible, or Google. This would help us reach more people like you who will really appreciate our work.
Before we begin this episode, we do want to note some trigger warnings that come up in this episode, namely sexual assault, self-harm, and suicidal ideation. If you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please reach out to the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 800-273-8255. If you are in crisis and need to talk to someone, you can also contact the crisis text line by texting HOME to 741-741, which will connect you to a volunteer crisis counselor. We want our listeners to know that there is help available and that there is always hope. And as always, before we get into our interview with our guest, Auslin, we do want to take a second to define a few terms that come up. The first term we have is intergenerational trauma. Intergenerational trauma occurs when the effects of trauma are passed down between generations. This can occur if a parent experienced abuse as a child or adverse childhood experiences, and the cycle of trauma and abuse impacts their parenting. Intergenerational trauma can also be the result of oppression, including racial trauma or other systemic oppression. The effects of intergenerational trauma have been documented in descendants of refugees, residential schools, and Holocaust survivors, demonstrating that this type of trauma continues to impact populations for generations after a collective trauma event has occurred. The second term we have is called hazing. Hazing is an initiation process involving harassment. Hazing, initiation, ragging, or deposition refers to any activity expected of someone in joining or participating in a group that humiliates, degrades, abuses, or endangers them, regardless of a person's willingness to participate. This is something we often see in fraternities. The next term we have is, one day I'll own this boot. This is a phrase which refers to a meme, which we've linked in the show notes. This refers to an internalized oppression mentality, where an oppressed person copes with abuse and oppression by telling themselves that one day they will be in the position of power where they can then abuse and oppress others. The one day I'll own this boot mentality continues to perpetuate harmful cycles, including intergenerational trauma, but it does not break harmful cycles.
Today's guest is Auslin, the singer-songwriter from Green Bay, Wisconsin. She's been able to sing and songwrite for independent producers and artists all online and all from home. She's well-versed in writing pop, R&B, and EDM. With her being a single mom to 2 boys, working a full-time job, making time to get a workout in, and working on music, you'd wonder how she gets it all done. The main thought that keeps her going is if she gives up what she loves to do, then she's teaching her kids to give up on their dreams, and that's not going to happen. Auslin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. I've never been on a podcast before.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, you broke my podcast virginity.
That's awesome. Tell us a bit about you and your background.
Where do I start? I was born in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, grew up in Pulaski, Wisconsin, both really small little hick towns in the Midwest. I grew up being the only Asian girl in town. So a lot of racism there in the 90s. And then I graduated high school in Green Bay. I got married super young. I got married when I was 18, had my first kid when I was 19. And then almost 9 years later, I have 2 boys. I'm a single mom. Mm-hmm. Never in my life would I have thought that I would be in this position, but I'm here, and through the whole journey of everything that I've gone through, I've been able to come full circle back to music because throughout this whole time, there has been music within there somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was always there when I was little. My family was really musical. Mm-hmm. I like to call us the dysfunctional Brady Bunch family of the church that we were in, because my parents had my 4 brothers and my other sister in the basement practicing church songs, My brothers would be on the drums. My dad's on the guitar singing. My mom's with the tambourine and singing. My sister's on the piano. So everybody played an instrument. I was always by my mom's side singing ever since I was little. Yeah, full circle back to music.
Tell us a bit about your ethnic background.
Yeah, I'm Hmong American. Hmong people came from the mountains of China. My ancestors fled down from the mountains because the Chinese wanted to kill us off back then. My ancestors, they just fled anywhere that they could go, anywhere safe. So Hmong people don't have a country. And there's Hmong people in Australia. I have an uncle in Australia. There's Hmong people in Mongolia, Thailand, Laos, which is where my parents are from. My dad's from Laos. My mom's from Thailand. In France, Canada, you name it. We're there.
Yeah, it's the same with Hakka people. I'm Hakka, and it's the same. We're all over the place. So did you know any Hmong people growing up apart from your family?
Yeah, in Wisconsin, there's a pretty big community of Hmong people. But because I grew up so isolated from the traditional Hmong household, because my parents were a bit more Americanized than my friends from church, and that's basically the only place where I would be able to be around other Hmong people at church every Sunday. I was always the different one because I didn't grow up with other Hmong kids. I grew up with only white kids in Pulaski. So they always looked at me like I was the whitewashed Hmong girl. And I couldn't speak Hmong, my own language. Even now, it's so broken. And my kids don't really speak Hmong at all. So I was always the different one out of the group of friends at church. But that would be the main place where I would be able to just be around other Hmong people.
So you guys would go to a church that's further from your house?
Yeah.
Because you said in your town there was nobody, right? So you guys went out of your way to go to this church so you could be with people who look like you.
Yeah, exactly. Because Pulaski is 15 minutes north of Green Bay. And Green Bay, there's a lot of Hmong people. And yeah, it's mainly like Green Bay, Wausau, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Oshkosh. Yeah, those are the main cities.
You mentioned to me that you experienced some racism growing up. Do you want to go into that?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. I didn't even know gook was a derogatory term until one day my mom comes home from work and she asked all of us, what does this mean? Somebody wrote a note and put it in my car, and I don't know what gook means. So we all looked in a dictionary because we all didn't know what this word was. And it's a derogatory term towards Japanese people, though. So obviously, white people in a small town, they don't know that there are a bunch of different types of Asian people. So they're going to just lump us all into one group. That was one experience that I will never forget. Looking back on it now, it's so funny because we're all huddled around this big dictionary. Like, because, there's no Google back then. No internet, really. It was a good bonding moment for all of us in a dark kind of way. Yeah, we all laugh about it now. We're so dumb. We didn't even know what that word was. And they
actually, I didn't know either until now. So
yeah, same. Yeah. Today years old.
Yeah. But there was another time where people across the street, they were just shooting fireworks at our house just because they wanted to, just because they thought they could. And then my brothers, they are very outspoken and they will throw down if they feel threatened. So that night they ran out across the street because they knew who these people were. And they were supposedly their friends, but they broke our porch light with the fireworks. And yeah, it was pretty bad.
That's so dangerous.
And we're so stupid too. We don't even call the cops because you grow up, or for me at least, and being taught, you got to stay quiet.
Yeah.
Shouldn't say too much because then you're really going to be in big trouble. Like, you never know, it's going to turn back on you in that kind of way. Not really knowing how the law worked with being young and like having immigrant parents and being the first generation of your family being in America, you don't really know much. And especially in the 90s too, it was way worse than now because even the cops could get away with being racist towards you too. But now they know there's cameras everywhere nowadays.
Yeah.
But back then, nothing would really happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, one time I was at school And it was the first time where I found out that Asian people eat dogs.
Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah.
if I had a
And
nickel for every time.
I was shocked. I was like, I eat hot dogs? Is that the same thing? Because if I do, you eat dogs too, motherfucker. Yeah, so it was the weirdest day. I didn't even know what to say back. I wasn't even mad or anything. I was just shocked. And then I went home and asked my brother, I was like, some kid said that we eat dogs or whatever. And then we don't eat dogs, stupid.
Oh, man.
Now looking back at it is the funniest thing. And there could be so many funny movies made from everybody's experience with being Asian in America and dealing with that type of racism. There could be so many jokes, so many comedies. But yeah, there was another time. This time was actually pretty serious where I was scared for my life, for my safety. I was just outside playing basketball by myself. And my brother's friend walks towards our house and he starts a conversation. Next thing he says, teach me a Hmong word or I'm going to molest you.
What?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he says, or I'm going to molest you. And I didn't want to because obviously it's threatening towards me. I'm little, but I know what that word means because I have dealt with being molested already. And I'm feeling threatened at this point when I'm little, knowing what that is, and I wouldn't do it. So then I was going to go inside. He grabs me and we're in a tussle. He had me in a headlock, pretty much.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, fine, I'll teach you a word. And then I don't even remember what word I said, but then I felt defeated because I did what he told me to do. And I hate that.
Yeah.
Especially when someone threatens you. I just remember feeling defeated and a piece of shit, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. How old were you?
Awful.
I want to say I was probably only 8 or 9.
Oh my goodness.
And he was older than you, I presume.
Yeah, he was my brother's age. So he was probably 5 or 6 years older than me.
Oh my God.
Awful.
That is messed up on so many levels.
Did you ever tell anyone, like your brother and your family?
Nope. This is honestly the first time that I've ever told anybody. And I'm shaking right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just having to grow up. I had to grow up fast.
Wow, that is really messed up. And I'm really sorry you had to go through that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's a situation where I really, at that moment, I was wondering, like, why does this keep happening to me? Like, why do these type of situations happen? Because I know that with my own culture, a lot of family members end up doing that to each other. And it's disgusting. And you wonder how anybody could come back from that and be able to just be a normal person, but you're never a normal person when somebody threatens you in that type of way or like does something to you. I don't know how people could think that wouldn't affect a person's psyche for the rest of their lives. And I really had to dive into like self-love and letting myself know like it happens. And people suck sometimes. I just have to know that I am worth more than what my mind is telling me sometimes. Yeah, and just defeating that demon every single day. I still do have to defeat some type of demon every single day. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, where when something like that happens, it affects every single piece of your life, especially trying to just being able to talk sometimes or being able to connect with other people. I've been told so many times that I come off as a bitch. I'm very distant. I'm very reserved. And sometimes it's the whole trust issue. But then now I'm just going in.
You have a good reason for it.
Yeah. And yeah, so just trying to overcome that. And then being a mother too now, being able to not put my own childhood trauma into my kids. They're the reason why I even wanted to dive into self-help books and motivational podcasts and working on myself, because I started to do things that my parents did to me, like how they disciplined me. We didn't get spanked. We didn't get lectured either. We just got yelled at and we got hit with fly swatters and brooms and flip-flops and anything they could find, remote controls. Having that type of threat towards me when I was very young, it makes my guard up. That whole being able to connect with other people, it's a hard connection for me and my kids. And that's where it affected me the most, is being able to like just hug them, because it fucks up with your mind. Yeah. I don't want to be that person who did that to me. So I need to be super careful to make sure that I'm not doing things that my kids are going to find weird or anything, or that other people are going to find weird. I think it's the cringiest, weirdest thing when parents kiss their own kids on the mouth. And I want to puke when I see that.
It's so weird, and I don't get it.
Yeah. So just being able to connect with other people, including my own damn kid.
Hearing you say that, I have even more admiration for you, because I know about your kids, and I love all your wholesome posts with them. They're just so adorable. I don't know you that well, but from what I can see on Facebook, you just seem like an awesome mom. And now knowing your backstory, you're blowing my mind.
Yeah, and the self-awareness to be like, I'm gonna break the cycle, that's so huge. And I feel like that's a big deal for parents to know, okay, I understand that my parents projected their trauma onto me and I don't want to do the same to my kids. That's really big.
I wouldn't have known about it if I didn't look towards other people who have gone through worse situations than me. Mm-hmm. If I didn't try to do something new and look at other people's points of views and what they learned, mm-hmm. I can't, I don't know. I just feel weird saying like I'm self-aware, because I wouldn't be if I didn't learn it from someone else, you know?
Yeah, but I think just the wanting to become self-aware, that in itself, that is the first step. And you did that and more. Kudos to you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, it's definitely hard still.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was just gonna say, I bet now you could pick up that kid and throw it across the room. The one who attacked you?
Oh, yeah. No, I could fuck him up now. I'd beat him and his mama. Because what the fuck are you teaching him?
Oh, man. You mentioned self-help, getting other perspectives, and seeking mental health help. How has that been for you in terms of being part of the Asian community? Because I know that in many Asian communities, mental health is still taboo. People don't talk about it. Have you had people around you in the Hmong community that supported you and helped you pursue that, or did you have to do that on your own?
I have to put all of that credit to my cousin, Susan. She's a Beachbody coach. And I know what people say, like it's an MML, whatever, blah, blah. It's a pyramid scheme. But honest to God, if I didn't join, and this is not me like drinking the Kool-Aid, it's my own experience through my own journey, and I wouldn't have been able to find out about self-help if it wasn't for my cousin Susan, because she invited me into a team meeting, and you would think it would be like sales tactics, but it wasn't. And it was completely all about how you can be confident. They were sharing resources of what kind of podcasts they're listening to, or what's something like they learned about themselves. It was just like a free therapy group, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then having other people who are positive and they've gone through shitty situations in their lives, that has been a part of me and my own mental health and being able to find my way into this. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for my cousin Susan, who kept pestering me about, why don't you just be a Beachbody coach with me? Because I was already doing the workouts at home. I have really bad social anxiety. Well, I used to. Mm-hmm. It's gotten better now. But I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to run outside. I just wanted to stay in my little bubble at home. And I was doing like the at-home workouts. This probably sounds like a commercial right now. I'm not. I swear to God. But they are really good workouts. Go check them out. Follow my cousin, Beachbody Coach. Yeah. But yeah, if it wasn't that whole community and being able to meet other people who just want you to be better, and they're always there to listen to you. And at the point of my life where I did join, I really needed that, because I was married at the time. I was in a town that I fucking hated. I hated everybody there except for like 2 people. And okay, maybe 5, including my 2 kids and my husband at that time. But yeah, it was just toxic everywhere, because nobody did anything but drink and go bowling. It's another small town in Wisconsin. There's a lot of small towns in Wisconsin that they just drink and go to the bars all the time. And at that point in my life, I was a couple years sober already. I quit drinking, quit smoking. I focused on my fitness, and I really wanted to just be okay every single day. And working out helped me with that.
Did you ever seek out professional mental health counseling or anything, or no?
I did a couple times. So my first time was pretty tragic. I've talked about this before, and I think it's really important if I don't share it. There might be somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, the first time I spoke to some kind of counselor, it was after I cut my own wrist. It wasn't even my wrist. I was stupid. It was my forearm. I was drunk, and it was an argument with my husband. We were both drunk. It was dumb. That happened. I hurt myself. He called the cops. I got sent to this one home, a place for mentally disabled people. I just remember going there and being like, I'm really tired, because it was 6 o'clock in the morning at this time. By the time I got out of the hospital and into this place, my shirt was still bloody. I don't know why they would let me just walk around with a bloody shirt. But I fell asleep in a bed, woke up, I was like, where am I? And the lady's like, oh, you're here, blah, blah. And she sat me down in the waiting center. And I'm sitting there crying because I'm just thinking, what the fuck did I just do to myself? I was at a point of depression, and I've had many suicidal thoughts ever since I was little. And then thinking I'm really stupid and I'm worthless, and there's no way my husband's going to want me back. And just feeling like the worst of the worst. And there's this lady that comes up to me, and she lives there, mentally disabled. And she just sits next to me, and she gives me this little pog-looking thing. It's a plastic circle. And it said something along the lines of, you're going to be okay. And I just busted out crying. And she gave me the biggest hug. And yeah, it's crazy how the smallest things like that, when you're in the worst state ever in your whole life, just makes you feel okay. This complete stranger wanted to give me this because obviously she knew I was feeling like shit and I looked like shit. But yeah, I completely forgot what the question was.
That's all right. The question was, did you ever get professional mental help?
Oh yeah, okay. Yes. And then after that, I went to a counselor, and this bitch, I shouldn't talk so much shit because I don't know her, but she just seemed really fucking stupid and a horrible, dumbass counselor. It made me think for myself, maybe I am okay. I'm not as dumb as her. So I'm fine. So it wasn't until a couple of years ago where I did that BetterHelp thing, and it helped. I didn't really dive into traumatic situations. It was just more, I need somebody to talk to who isn't like biased and who doesn't know me.
Yeah.
So that's what I use BetterHelp for, but nothing like so traumatic and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's hard getting help. You're going to this complete stranger, and as you said, they might be complete idiots.
I think too, as people of color, sometimes white therapists don't understand our perspective. So I think there's like an extra layer there too. Seeking mental health, you have to find somebody who will get you.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, because I remember some people I know who have sought help with creating safe boundaries between them and their parents, the typical Asian conflict between generations. And the therapist said, no, you just got to shut your mom off. And this person was like, I can't do that. And the therapist was just like, if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to make any progress. And basically the therapist just gave up. If you're not seeing the cultural context and you're not seeing that this person is trying to get help from you and you're just telling them, no, you're hopeless. It's awful.
That's horrible.
Yeah. But it is good that having the stupid therapist made you realize that you were okay, though.
I remember the last session. I don't know. I just wanted to make her feel better about herself. I was like, yeah, things are really going great. And then I just remember leaving that session like, you're fucking stupid. Telling you anymore, you dumb bitch.
That brings up an interesting point, though. I feel like I'm often trying to manage people's feelings. And I don't know if that's an Asian thing or not, but I always try to make people feel better about themselves. Yeah. even if I have to lie about how I'm feeling.
Yeah. For me, in the Hmong culture, when you get married, you are married to his whole family. In the old tradition, you're pretty much the slave of the house, like the Cinderella. You're supposed to tend to other people's kids if they still live with their moms, even though they're married and have babies already. Have the house neat and tidy. Make sure to cook for everybody. Make sure everybody's okay, even though you're fucking tired as shit and you have to work all night and you just had a baby. So that was like the old ways. And my ex-husband, I'm not throwing shade at his family at all, but it was kind of like that, where his mom wasn't happy with anything. But I tried sweeping, tried to make everything all nice. And I tried to put up a front like, I'm happy, and I'm happy cleaning for everybody, and happy cooking for everybody. Until the day I was just, you know what, fuck it. She's not happy with how I clean her fucking house. Then whatever. I'll cook for you people, sure. You guys clean up after yourself, though. Because, after a while,
Yeah.
it's like, am I your slave? Like, am I? Yeah. When nobody cares to help out, and they complain that their mom is nagging all the time, and, like, they don't do anything about it. So if they don't care, why am I caring? And she's not caring that I'm caring, so I care. Yeah, it was a moment. It was a quick minute where I tried to just be okay for everybody else, except for myself. And that's when she snapped.
Yeah. I feel like that's a common dynamic too among Asian families. This it's always the daughter-in-law gets the brunt of everything. So when she marries into this family, the mother-in-law was in the exact same position with her husband. And so she's passing it down. It's like hazing, but for families, that kind of dynamic where once you marry into the family, you're saddled with all this responsibility and you're expected to just cope.
Yeah, unlike you, they're not questioning and they're passing that trauma right down to the next generation.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna suffer now because once my kid gets married, I'll get to boss his wife around, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely in Asian culture, the gender norms could use some improvement.
Yeah.
It's still very common for especially parents to expect that their in-laws are going to be, the girl's gonna do all the house chores and the guy's gonna be the breadwinner and all that stuff. And it's, come on, we want to do fun stuff. Why don't you take care of the kids for once?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Switching gears a little bit, I want to talk to you about your music career. And I know you are doing it kind of on the side, but you do take it very seriously and you're gigging and you're doing great. How has that been for your family? Like, how did they take that? Do they encourage it?
Oh, man. Now it's great. It's a funny story with that. When I was still married, that's when I really wanted to get more serious about getting gear and learning about what music makers do and just getting a hold of the basic things that I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he took me as serious as how I was in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we did communicate to each other, I was like, if I do this, can you do more of that? Just more housework and stuff like that. And everything was fine in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, because at this point, I wasn't going out drinking or smoking or hanging out with the people that he hung out with and drank with. So it wasn't like the weekends where I would go hang out with them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at home with the kids, just locked up in my room and trying stuff out, writing and stuff like that. And then it's a hard balance when you're married and you have kids, and I had a full-time job. I was a Beachbody coach too, and doing that and running challenge groups and fitness groups and then trying to do music too. It's a hard balance, and our communication was way off. I take a lot of part in that because I have this issue where when I'm really into something, I get obsessed with it and I just can't let it go. When I'm pretty sure you guys know, like when you're focused on a song or like a project, you just want to make sure like you get everything good and
you're in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I'm in the zone, I'm maybe 2 days in the zone. And it's something that we both didn't really realize how much time it would take. And I didn't realize myself that I was being a mole in a hole. I also was very stubborn too, but our communication just completely crashed.
Yeah.
But then we were married young. We got married at 18. And it was a point for me where it's like, is this how I really want to keep going on with the rest of my life? So it was a good and a bad with music coming into our lives. We both got to really sit down and think about, what do we want as a family?
Yeah.
Because something's not working here. And it was to the point where, I didn't see myself in Wisconsin for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to move out.
Yeah.
But he wants to stay by his family in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And we both grew up differently. He was more traditional Hmong household. And my family was very independent. Everybody was off doing their own thing. And we realized that we're both two completely different people at this point. I was maybe just a year into like trying to get a hold of everything. But it was at a point where I was willing to try. But he wasn't anymore. And that's how our divorce happened. We weren't legally married. We were culturally married. So legally, he's like my baby daddy. But your question was like music and family. It's hard. It's not easy. And I would never want to tell people, oh, it's great. Some days it's just a whole blob of mess in a day.
Yeah.
Where things just don't work out at all to like how you imagine it when you wake up. And then some days it's perfect though. That's great. But it's hard as fuck. And I think that's why after the divorce, even trying to date and do music is hard.
Yeah.
And having kids at the same time, I don't want to say like they're a burden because they're 100% why I want to do this and why I want to keep showing them because they always see me in my little computer room.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, oh, are you working on a song, Mom? And that's the cutest fucking thing. And I love it when they sing my songs.
So adorable. I love your posts with your kids. They're just so wholesome.
Thanks. But yeah, I'm definitely not perfect though. That's for sure. I do have my days. But yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say with that. It's hard as fuck.
Yeah, I can imagine. It is really cool that you're showing your kids that you're not letting difficult things in your life preventing you from doing what you want to do. I'm sure that's something that they're gonna take with them as they grow up.
I really hope they do.
Yeah.
I guess as far as navigating the music space as an AAPI, how was that for you? Did you feel like it was a different dynamic being an AAPI person navigating a creative industry?
You know what's really weird? It was easier for me to be a part of more projects with white people or other people than my own. More people would want to do collaborations, more projects with me if I was to just ask I don't want to keep saying a white person, non-Asian, a non-Hmong specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the Hmong community, there's a whole group of Hmong singers and songwriters and performers. And I just found it so weird that because I don't sing in Hmong, because I can barely speak my own language, that they fuck with me less because I can't sing it. And there's a whole nother thing with that too, where Hmong people will hate on other Hmong people if you're not Hmong enough. So yeah, I just find it weird because I don't sing Hmong, then they outcast me still.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how I'm feeling though. And they're not thinking that at all. But it definitely looks that way. So going into music or doing projects with people, I haven't personally found it difficult or like felt any kind of prejudice or hate in any kind of way when it comes to music.
That's good.
But maybe that's just
Yeah.
the type of people within music that I talk to. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great if you haven't had any issues.
Yeah.
Have you guys?
Yeah.
Or have you guys heard of stories?
I've had a few.
Yeah, I think I haven't necessarily encountered outright hate or anything, but I think it's more overcoming certain assumptions that people make when they see you.
Yeah, I had people suggest to me that I do K-pop or anime music because I'm Asian and I'm not even Japanese or Korean. Stuff like that. And then one time at Durango, actually, where we met, I saw this woman I had met at another conference 6 months prior. We had lunch together. She told me her life story and we had a good laugh. And then we meet again at Durango and she calls me by the name of the only other Asian person in the conference. And I was like, that's not my name.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I remember this story on your Facebook.
It was like, wow, I don't know how to react here. And it was so weird. I would understand if it's somebody that I kind of met but didn't really talk to that much. Hey, what do you do kind of thing? And then you move on if it's a busy conference. But we had lunch. We have mutual friends. She told me her life story. I thought we got to know each other a little bit that day. So that was hurtful.
Yeah, I would be hurt too. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna be friends, man. Like that kind of feeling.
Yeah, so I don't even know what to do with that. You know, it was just disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, has that ever happened to me? And
Being confused for another Asian person?
yeah, maybe that's just because that was like the only
You were the
reason why I was the only one.
And it's so funny too, because the people that I've been confused with, they don't even look like me.
I know. They don't look like me. They don't sound like me. They don't make the same music as me. We don't have the same circle of friends. I don't know how you make this mistake. And for her to know the other person's name, so she obviously remembers that there are two different Asian people. And somehow that wire is still crossed, and I just don't know how that happens. So I've had that, and then I've had the "where are you from" question. Really irks me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets annoying after a while. I get that question too.
You do?
Like, where the fuck do you think I'm from? You tell me. You tell me, guy. Where the fuck do you think I'm from, huh? If you think I'm from another fucking country, you guess the country. I'll be from there, sure.
I had a substitute teacher. He was made fun of for many reasons, but he would always go up to me. And even after I had already told him my ethnicity, he would go up to me and make a guessing game out of where my parents, he would be like, your parents are Mexican. Nope. And he would go, Vietnamese. Nope. And just run through a list. And I would just be like, what am I doing here? But
That is so weird.
Yeah, what the fuck?
yeah.
People.
Yeah, it's weird.
You should be like, let me guess what kind of white you are. A dumb one. That's it.
But I think the lesson here is that we need to do like Auslin, and we need to be the only Asian person, and then they won't confuse us. That's the lesson here.
Be the only Asian person, and then be outcasted by your own kind.
Oof. Because you had mentioned you don't speak your native language, and I am fluent in Tagalog, but I have an accent. I very much sound like an American speaking. I don't sound like a native speaker, which obviously, because I'm not, but it's frustrating. I get flack from native Tagalog speakers. Sometimes it's people in my family or other people who know me, and they're like, oh, you have an American accent. And it's just, you don't see me saying shit about your accent when you speak English. So why am I getting shit from you? At least I'm speaking. And it's so funny that it's always the mainland people making fun of people in the Asian diaspora, the way they speak their home language.
Yeah. I don't speak any Asian language, so they don't get to give me shit.
Yeah.
Although I will say, whenever I go to any Chinatown, it doesn't matter where, Toronto, San Francisco, Los Angeles, anywhere, any Chinatown, there will be an old Chinese lady who would come up to me and ask me for directions in Cantonese or Mandarin. I will have this blank stare on my face, and she will just shake her head, very disappointed in me. And for the longest time, I was like, oh man, I feel so bad because I want to help them, but I don't know how. But then I found out that apparently in China, some people will pretend that they don't speak the Chinese language and they'll speak English as a form of snobbery. So they'll pretend that they're foreigners and that they're fancy or whatever. Apparently that's a thing, and that's why some people look down on me because they think that I'm pretending I can't speak. I was like, no, I really can't.
Oh, weird.
I know. I have an aunt. She speaks Cantonese. She's Mauritian, but she speaks Cantonese. And she said when she goes to China, she speaks English because she has rural accent. The Cantonese people who moved to Mauritius were from some small village somewhere. So if she goes there and speaks Cantonese, they think she's from a rural place and they don't treat her nicely. So she'll speak English. So then more people go there and speak English instead of speaking the native language. And then more people there think that we're all snobs. It's just this snowball effect.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird.
Wow. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to, your music, and if you have releases that you want to plug.
Yeah, Mother's Day just happened, and it was the 1 year of my first song release ever as Auslin a year ago. Yeah, it's called Better. I wanted my first release to be impactful for me and in the future for my kids. So the song is called Better, and it's for my little boys. And oh my gosh. So we listened to the song in the car, and when the song was done, it was just silent. And then I hear Wesley say, Cammy, why are you crying?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, and he's like a little faker too. So I was like, Cammy's not crying. He wouldn't cry. And I look in the mirror, sure shit, he's got like the ugly cry face on, and he just, he starts crying. I was like, buddy.
Oh my
Why
god.
are you crying? And then he just kept crying and he wasn't talking. And Wesley was like, it's okay, Cammy, because it's okay to cry if things get emotional.
Oh
And
my God.
Oh, that's so cute.
yeah, Wesley, my 11-year-old, the older one, he is very sensitive and he's an empath, 100%. And he was telling him, like, it's okay if you're feeling a certain way. And he was like, is it a good feeling? And then Cammy nods his head yes.
Oh my God.
I started fucking crying. But I didn't want them to know that I was crying because Cammy was crying. And then once everybody had calmed down, I was like, are you okay, buddy? And then he starts to tear up again, but then he's like holding it back. He just nods his head yes, like he's okay. And then he said that he was crying because he really liked the song and he knows what it's about now. Oh my God.
Now you're gonna make us cry.
I know.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
It's a good feeling to know that song was for them because I honestly didn't think they would understand it until they're a little older. But that reaction from him was very surprising. And I didn't expect that at all because he's only 7. I figured they were only thinking about boogers in Minecraft or something. So
It's amazing how much kids are sponges and they absorb so much more than we give them credit for.
yeah, definitely. And it wasn't the first time he's heard the song too, but it was just like the first time in a long time where we listened to the song together again. And then later that night, we watched the music video. It's on my YouTube. Oh, I am working on a couple singles and a couple collaborations. One's finally with another female producer. I wouldn't call myself a female producer. No way for sure. But she's a female producer. The second one that I got to work with.
Awesome.
And
Nice.
hopefully I get to work with you guys on music too in the future. I would really love to do that.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah, we would love to.
And I want to touch on something though. You said you don't feel comfortable considering yourself a female producer. Why?
Because I feel like I don't know enough. Because I keep hearing different types of terms from actual producers. Because I only know the basics to throw down a demo. But when it comes to leveling and sound design and stuff like that, I don't even know what I'm doing when I'm adjusting the knobs and just listening to something, seeing if I hear something cool. I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm a producer. I make things up as I go, and hopefully it sounds good. And then when I show it to a buddy or something, they're like, yeah, you got to work on this and this and this. They give me a whole list of what to fix. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it sounded good.
I'm going to let you on a little secret. Most of us don't know much. When we start out anyway, like we're all just playing around with knobs until we figure out what we like and don't like. And then also mixing is a totally different thing from producing. You could be a good producer, but a terrible mixer. You don't have to both. Yeah. Traditionally, in the music industry, somebody would be the producer and they're kind of like a project manager. They're not even the tracking engineer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tracking engineer in the studio doing all the tracks. The producer is just overall vision guy, right? Okay, we're going to hire some string players to do this. We're going to hire a guitarist for the solo or whatever. Most of them do know the technical stuff to some degree, but they're not necessarily mixers. I just wanted to put that out there, you know? Yes, we all have a lot to learn. I did not start producing until 2018, which is not that long ago. And now I do it all. But when I started, I didn't know what I was doing. The first track I did, I had a brief that was due in 48 hours. And I'm like, okay, I have this song that is perfect for this brief. I don't know. I'm just going to try to figure it out. So it was guitar, vocal, and we were like, oh, it could use a toy piano sound. So I go on Google, how to make toy piano sound. Literally, that's what I did. I go find a YouTube video and I was like, oh, okay, I know I need to do this EQ thing. And yeah, it'll kind of sound like a toy piano. Got it. Do that. And then the guitar had some weird fret noises on it. So I Google how to remove fret noises from guitar. And that's when I learned how to use an EQ. And I didn't know anything about how to EQ stuff before. I'd seen the plugin and it looked intimidating. I'd never played around with it. And I just looked at, okay, what's the next step I need to know how to do to be able to get to where I want to go? And it sounds like that's what you're doing. You have a project, you have something in mind, and you're trying the knobs and things and trying to figure out how to get what you want. That's producing.
Yeah.
You might not be the most amazing producer on the planet. Neither are most of the other producers. So what the heck?
And it's okay to have the confidence of a white man.
Yes. You don't have to be a mixing engineer to be a legit producer.
Yeah.
Many producers, especially traditional producers, they'll send that off to a mixer. So one of my friends took the Kigo class on producing EDM, and she was disappointed that he didn't go into mixing at all because he said he just sends it to his mixer. He doesn't mix.
Oh,
This is a guy who's got millions of streams on all his songs. So if he's not mixing, why do you have to be able to mix before you consider yourself a producer?
Yeah, most producers I know too.
that makes me feel so much better.
I'm glad. Yeah, you're a producer. Don't apologize for it. Own it.
Yeah, own it.
I'm going to keep repeating that to myself this whole day now. I'm a producer.
Love it.
Yeah, we're going to edit the bio and say you are a singer-songwriter and producer from...
Yes.
No, seriously though. Yes, we definitely all need to learn, to keep learning. There's always a shit ton more to learn, but that does not invalidate where you are now. You know, you're still a producer.
Yeah.
Everybody starts somewhere. That's like saying you can't consider yourself a musician until you can play Chopin. No, most people can't play Chopin, okay? Just no.
Yeah, I've struggled with this too. There's a lot of reasons why people feel this way, but I used to think that I had to hit a certain level before I could call myself something. And one of my friends had said, she's a dance teacher, and she would say, if you dance, you're a dancer. That's it. And so now I'm trying to be like, okay, if you do something, regardless of at what level you do it, you're still it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's awesome.
If you think about all the accountants in the world or all the lawyers in the world, there's a spectrum of how good they are. Like most of them are pretty average, and then there's some that are like really good at what they do. But the average ones still say they're accountants or lawyers or real estate agents. They don't say, oh, when I sell maybe 50 houses, I can call myself an agent. No, they get the license. They're like, I'm an agent. But for some reason in the creative industry, we feel like we need to achieve a certain amount of, I don't know, decorum somehow that to be able to even claim that. And I think that's not helpful to anybody. There isn't a threshold, really. We're not going out and claiming we're rocket scientists here. You know what I'm saying? There are some things that, yeah, you do need a certain level of knowledge. Doctor or having people on vaccines, things like that. Yeah, I would require a minimum of years of training and scientific knowledge and understanding of the scientific method, all that stuff. You're learning. That doesn't mean that you're not doing it. If you can be an average lawyer, you can be an average producer. And then someday you can become a great producer. Honestly, just do it.
So true. Those are some really good nuggets.
Yeah.
We won't keep you too much longer, but before we go, we're going to have a rapid fire section. They're just one word or one phrase answers. You don't have to explain. You can if you want, but you don't have to explain. And then after that, we will let people know where they can find you and connect with you if they want to work with you or if they want to check out your music. Sound good?
Okay, cool.
Sure.
All right, you want to do the honor?
First question is, what is the most annoying stereotype you've had to deal with?
Oh, that I don't have an Asian accent. People, they'll talk to me and they're like, oh, you really do sound like you're from Wisconsin. You have no Asian accent at all. I was like, I was born in Wisconsin. Yeah, that's an annoying one.
Yeah, I feel that. What's an Asian food that you should like but don't?
Oh, man. This is going to sound really basic, but scrambled eggs and rice. I don't do scrambled eggs. It's not even Asian food, I know. But growing up, that's the main thing we'll eat if we don't have money. Is scrambled eggs and rice. And I hated it. And it was disgusting. I'll starve. That's fine. I'll just eat the rice.
Okay, what is the most annoying question non-Asian people have asked you?
Most annoying? I guess the whole, like, where are you from thing.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about before.
Yeah, for sure. And the last question, what's an Asian food that you'll never get tired of?
Oh, my goodness. I can't say anything specific because just noodles in general. I'm a noodle baby. I love noodles.
Yeah, me too.
Like any type of noodle. And it's very stereotypical, but fuck it. It's so good. Like,
oh my god, I love the nudes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It was really fun. We hope you had a good time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Of course. Before we let you go, where can people find you and give us all your links?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I have a TikTok that I post a bunch of bullshit of. And YouTube, they're all awesome live.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
All right. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this moving conversation with Auslin. Here are our takeaways for this week's episode. Number 1. Childhood trauma leads to people keeping their guard up and sometimes coming off as distant or bitchy, as Auslin put it. This is a defense mechanism they have to adopt to protect themselves. So next time you meet someone who comes off this way, consider the possibility that they might have a very good reason for it and be kind. Number 2. While being on the defensive helps you survive in a hostile environment, it can also make it difficult to connect with people on a day-to-day basis, including with your own kids. Auslin makes conscious efforts to not let her past trauma affect her relationship with her kids, and it's a fight she shows up to every single day. Number 3. Intergenerational trauma can lead to abuse and unhealthy relationships between parents and their kids. It takes hard work to distance ourselves from our culture enough to break the cycle and to be intentional about which part of our upbringing to preserve and which ones to let go of in order to set more realistic boundaries for ourselves and the next generation. Number 4. In many cultures, including Asian cultures, gender roles are still quite rigid and much more demanding on women. Women are taught to be self-effacing and to tend to everyone else's physical and emotional needs before their own. These unhealthy expectations are passed down from generation to generation as quote-unquote part of the culture. But there is so much more to our culture than these sexist beliefs, and letting go of them does not equate letting go of our culture. So I hope we can all do better. Number 5. There is a tendency for minority groups to sometimes develop judgmental attitudes about who is Asian enough. Diaspora experiences are varied, and just because someone does not speak the language does not make them any less Asian. Rather than gatekeeping, we should be more inclusive and invite everybody to participate in our culture. Number 6. The smallest acts of kindness can make a world of difference. This is especially true when someone is at their most vulnerable. When the old lady gave Auslin a small token of encouragement in her darkest hour, it was a small gesture, but it gave her hope and made a huge impact. And finally, you don't have to know everything before giving yourself permission to practice. Everybody starts somewhere, and learning never stops. It's okay to call yourself a producer if you know the basics of producing but just aren't great at it yet. Mediocre producers are still producers. And that's it for today. If you know someone who would enjoy this episode, we hope you'll share it with them and build on our show to have your own nuanced conversations about the relationships we have with our cultural identities and how they affect us. If you'd like to be featured or nominate a guest, please follow and DM us at NuancesPod on Instagram. We'll conclude this episode with the song Better by Auslin.
If today was all I had left, I'd give you all I could give. From my last hours to minutes, let you know all my secrets. When mommy was still young, how my life was growing up. So maybe you could understand why I reacted, how I overreacted. No, life's not always easy. You gotta work with what you get. Trying my best every day to make up for the last. Lack of patience gets the best of me. But remember my intentions, please. 'Cause I'm learning on this journey with ya, and there are no others I'd rather wanna learn with than ya. Had to learn to love my past, had to learn to love my life. Oh, had to learn to love myself before I learned to love anyone else. No, I'm better 'cause of you. No purpose without you. If I didn't have you, then I wouldn't be better.
So when I'm an adult and I move out, every weekend I'm gonna go visit you.
And you promise?
Yeah.
I love you. I didn't kiss you cheek. You did. Thank you.
I'm sorry if I can't give you everything you see brand new, but I hope what you learn from me is worth more than all those shiny things. Like how you do what your heart know you love to do. Don't let anyone choose happiness is for you. Appreciate your mistakes and embrace it, and don't compare you to someone else. It's such a waste. Nah, life's not always easy. You gotta work with what you get. Trying my best every day to make up for the last. Lack of patience gets the best of me, but remember my intentions, please, 'cause I'm learning on this journey with ya, and there are no others I'd rather wanna learn with than ya. Had to learn to love my past, had to learn to love my life. Oh, had to learn to love myself before I learned to love anyone else. No, I'm better 'cause of you. No purpose without you. If I didn't have you, then I wouldn't be better. I hope you learn to love your past. I hope you learn to love your life. Oh, I hope you learn to love yourself before you learn to love anyone else. Oh, I'm better 'cause of you. No purpose without you. If I didn't have you, mommy wouldn't be better.
You guys will always be mommy's babies. Good night, Wesley. Good night. Good night, Kenny. Good night. I love you guys. I love you.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation and tune in next week for another nuanced conversation.